Hello, troops. Operator Starsky here. Very nice to see you tonight. I have a bit different background here because I moved a bit closer to Belarusian border, just in case, you know. So there was a question about Bogdan, and Bogdan is okay. He is very grateful to you guys for all the commentaries, all your feedback. Very grateful for all your donations, and I sent everything you sent me. I sent to Bogdan, but you can also, if you want, you can support him via his PayPal, and you can find the Bogdan's PayPal down there in the description. Sorry if I'll be interrupted from time to time because I may receive some calls from my command, and very nice to see you. Finally, a week without you was a torture. And also you may want to check out the merch. So Janine and Rudy did some new cool stuff. You can check it out again in the description. I feel really happy every time somebody says that they have my merch, which is great. I wish sorry. Okay. Yeah, I'll be streaming and working at the same time. Just a second. Okay. So I was talking about merch. Yeah. Sorry again. Like multiple tasks. It's like, the main difference between men and women can do multitasks at the same time. Men cannot do that for some reason, and I can totally confirm that. Yeah. So as for the power grid, guys, situation is not deadly, but it's kind of difficult because unfortunately we have plenty of blackouts. Multitasking is a lie. No, it's not. I had opportunity to check. Yeah, so unfortunately we have a lot of blackouts in Kiev as well. It doesn't influence our army in any way, but it does influence our civilians. Sometimes they cannot charge their phones, sometimes they cannot watch TV, things like that. Sometimes they cannot use their micro oven, that's why they have to use their gas ovens and stuff. Yeah, like there's a bunch of problems specifically inflicted against civilian population of Ukraine. Again, military people don't give a damn about it, including me. But because a big part of my work is related to internet, I had to take some measures and move. not too far from Kiev, but closer to our potato-loving friends, um, the Belarusians. And yeah, I can see that there's quite a lot of people tonight not sleeping for some reason. But I'm very, very happy to see you all. Leave Spring Army here. Salute. And let's jump to our news. So I decided that probably it's wise to divide my stream into like 4 sections. It's news, it's crazy shit, it's rumors, which is like not confirmed information, but it still might be interesting. And questions and answers, I think we can do that. All right. So, without further ado, currently we have a very difficult situation in Bakhmut because Bakhmut is the only span of the front lines where Russians can perform at least some kind of offensive operations. And we have some footage from Bakhmut. This is how it looks like. So this town was awesome before Russians arrived. And we were deployed not far from Bakhmut for like plenty of times in 2017, in 2019, 2020. We've been there with our brigade, yeah, it's very sad to see this town looking like this, unfortunately. But we have information that currently Russians use plenty of their Wagnerites, basically, and there's some pretty tough combat in that area. My guys are operating there as well. Here we can see some combat footage, which was this record was made in the suburban area of Bakhmut, basically. Again, because Russians use plenty of their multiple rocket launch systems and howitzers in order to erase this city from the face of the earth, as like the same as they did to other cities like Rubizhne, basically town Rubizhne and Severodonetsk. But on the other hand, we have plenty of our artillery operating in that area, as well as our aviation. As for the Max, he's operating in Bakhmut. He is totally fine. And guys, Max reports that yes, he was able to finally collect all the funds for the vehicle that will be delivered to the front line, so they will have more opportunity to make more of interesting footage for you guys. Here we can see remains of Russian vehicles that were destroyed near Bakhmut. Those are Ukrainian soldiers, and it was a combat that took place, I think, today. And the guy has AKS-74U, which is like a big pistol-only rifle. I don't really like AKSU. We call them Ksyuha or Suchka, and like, you know, I prefer actual rifles. But anyways, it works, then it's fine. And speaking of Ukrainian aviation, we received a new video from Ukrainian pilot nicknamed Karaya, and I'm envious because I always wanted to be one of them, because they're so glamorous and cool. Oh my god, I miss Microsoft Flight Simulator, I really do. Anyways, I didn't notice that instead of discussing news, we jumped straight to crazy shit. Anyways, in Russia, it's now a new trend to have those multiple uprisings against Russian command, among those mobilized troops. And we have more and more videos confirming that Russian mobilized troops are very dissatisfied with their conditions, with their service. I totally understand them, and I totally support their urge, their will to return home to their families, because it's the only way they can survive. And here we have a small footage. I think you gotta listen to this footage as well. Unfortunately, I don't see where's the sound? Anyways, okay, I will explain what happens here. So this is a drunk Russian general that is surrounded by Russian mobilized troops, and we all understand why they are angry and protesting. They call this general different bad names. So yeah, it's hard to imagine something like this in any other army on planet, but this is the Russian army. And those mobilized men, they have every right to protest against their command, because, for example, here you can see a cemetery in Luhansk, all those buried Russian soldiers. And it's not a real cemetery. I mean, dead people are buried there, but it's made like along the road, because they don't have enough place to bury their troops. There's a question, what were those soldiers saying in the previous video? So basically they were abusing and insulting that general, saying that he is drunk and stuff like that. And in the end, when this general went away, they called him something very, very bad. Because Russians are generally very, very homophobic, that's exactly what they called him. So, speaking of this cemetery, this is in Luhansk. Again, it's made along the road. They use every possible spot to bury their soldiers. And yeah, that's a massive cemetery. There's also some green flags. I don't. There it is. Some. Yeah. So that's a the VDV. That's their airborne troops, paratroopers. Anyways. And for example, I found some very interesting picture here. This is a company from Yakutsk, Russia, and this company, the picture on top, that's this Yakutsk company proudly going to the war in Ukraine in late July. It's 28th of July. They departed to Ukraine, and this picture on the bottom is basically everything that's left from this company. And it's a typical picture there. Plenty of their companies are only 30% complete at this point. It's 28th of July. July, August, September, October. So basically in 3 months they lost almost 70% of their company, which is a lot. But Ukrainians can do better, of course. Okay, how is Bogdan? Guys, as for Bogdan, by the way, this picture that you saw in the beginning of this stream, so he received letters from kids from New Zealand sent by Samantha Williams, and he was amazed. So he spent 7 months in Russian prison, and he was completely isolated informationally. He told me that they saw some kind of, not like news. Mostly, he says it was like advertisement on the Russian TV and stuff. But sometimes they saw some kind of news, some kind of reviews of the situation. And he said that they could try to analyze if what was said was like a bullshit or not. But mostly he was isolated. He didn't know anything about what happens in Ukraine and the world. And when I showed him those drawings from kids from the very, very distant part of the world, he was so surprised. He said, like, I couldn't imagine it, because during our deployments, we often received such letters from Ukrainian kids. We had absolutely same drawings. Let me show it to you. Yeah, so we had plenty of such drawings from Ukrainian kids. They were delivered to us like every week. We had tons of those. And it's so amazing. It's so amazing to see those drawings only with foreign words. It's so unusual, but it's so touching at the same time. Yeah, that's why Bogdan was really happy. And yeah, like, it's hard to recognize him here, because I'm not accustomed to, to see Bogdan so thin, but he'll be fine. So we agreed to buy plenty of proteins and become like big and round just because we can. Okay, let's see what we have here. So this is this individual is a Wagnerite captured by Ukrainian forces, and you can see those beautiful tattoos. Very typical for prisoners, for convicts, and judging from his, like, I'm not, even despite the fact that I was a policeman, I'm not very acquainted with those symbols, but judging from that, he was some big dude in prison. So according to our information, this Wagner group has already lost 1,000 men in Ukraine, and I think they lost 500 in just 2 weeks. What is on his head? Did you see, like, how you call it, this movie, this Silent Hill? Probably he's playing Pyramid Head, I don't know. Anyways, according to my guys that already captured and killed and captured and again killed plenty of those Wagnerites, and they say, like, those men, they have zero experience, they die like flies in big numbers, and this is the way they fight. But I like it this way. Anyways, so according to our intelligence, majority of Majority of those Wagnerites consist of convicts at this point. A lot of them were convicted for things like homicide. And again, it's crazy because in Ukraine, for example, if you were sentenced for crime, you cannot be given weapons because it's illegal. It's against the law. That's why, for example, a lot of guys who did their time and they want to volunteer, there's no chance for them to become soldiers, even though they have may have experience or want to train or stuff. No, it's illegal. They cannot have weapons. They cannot operate weapons because it's against the law in Ukraine. I think in Russia it was kind of similar, but like, who cares about laws in Russia? Some great video from our guys. So that is T-90M Prorыв, modern Russian tank with some sophisticated bed sheets. So those are designed to mask its thermal image and stuff like that. Not sure if it works well, but this one was taken from Russians. This one was donated to Ukrainian army in frames of Russian Lend-Lease. Our guys learn operating this stuff, and plenty of Russian tanks are being used on Ukrainian front lines fighting against Russians. According to I think ISW, Institute for Studying Warfare, 50% of Ukrainian tanks were previously Russian, which is kind of funny. Anyways, another great news. So this stuff was spotted on Ukrainian front lines. This is M58. M58 mine clearing line charge brought to Ukrainian army by the US, and this stuff is currently used. It does its tasks. So we have information that it belongs to rumors, but we have information that Russians planted 2 times more mines than usual in the area of Kherson. Obviously, those vehicles are required there, and I'm happy to learn that they are already used on Ukrainian front lines, which is great. So, what's next? And next, we have this beautiful fire in the city of Yekaterinburg. Again, karma works. This time, long-range missile system called Karma, which never misses its targets, hit a Russian fuel train in the city of Yekaterinburg, Russia. And this video is proudly brought to you by Freedom to Russia, Russian Legion, fighting against Russian invaders. Just a second, I received another message. Oh no, it's fine. I'm still alive. Okay, it's good. Yeah, something went wrong. But it's always nice to see those fireworks. Obviously, Russians are, they make those rehearsals of celebrating Ukrainian defeat. Russian defeat by Ukrainian army. Which is great, which is beautiful. I totally enjoy watching those videos that I receive from time to time. It's makes me feel happy, as well as Fuch. So we made this trip with Fuch, and he was like, he was on a trip in my car for the first time in his life. Not his first trip in a car, but first trip in my car. And he was really excited. He was, looking through the window, and he nearly had a heart attack. So excited he was. Yeah. And it took some time to move here. I have a bit different background, but who cares? Hopefully soon I will have another one. Is Kherson a trap? So we have info that proves that it is. Currently, Russians spread this those messages that Kherson is gonna be captured very, very soon, like 3-4 days. And it's kind of silly. They expect us to believe in this. Anyways, guys, regarding my microphone, I bought it this way. I didn't do anything for it to look like this, and I didn't buy it because it was red and glowish. Anyways, and to finish our um, trash talk rubrics, trash talk, how you call it, trash talk section of this stream. On a positive note, there is this beautiful like poster from the Russian army, and everything in this poster is beautiful. First of all, it says the skies are conquered by the strong. Then there is this picture of a derussified Russian pilot. But the funniest thing is the image of a Ukrainian Su-27, and it's Ukrainian because it has a Ukrainian livery, as you can see, with Ukrainian markings on its wings. Probably like one of the Su-27s that could kill this Russian pilot. It's awesome. I mean, whenever they do stuff like that, those designs, they are great. Sometimes they do designs dedicated to their grandpas who fought during the World War II, and they instead of like Russian partisans or Russian that Red Army soldiers, sometimes they use images of German soldiers or German pilots. It's completely insane because they are so stupid. It's so cringy, so it becomes awesome, I think. And Ukrainian airplanes are so fantastic because they have such nice liveries, in my opinion. I remember in Hostomel we had that air raid, and I was looking at the airplanes that were flying above us, and so Ukrainian airplanes at this point, they have this gray pixel camo, and those airplanes looked a bit different with those stars. I was like, it looks like one of ours, but it has different stars. What, like different markings? Like, what the hell? Yeah, appeared they were not Ukrainian ones. Okay, so let's switch to the news of today, because we have a bunch of them. So first of all, we have information from our general staff that say that around 75,930 Russian soldiers performed this gesture of goodwill and became better in Ukraine. And according to my calculations, Russia loses about 1 or 2 battalion tactical groups a day. Dead. It's amazing. It's fantastic. So as of today, Russia also lost 2,765 tanks, which probably is it like more than all the tanks in Europe? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it is. So what else? 5,611 armored vehicles. We're talking about BMPs, BTRs, MTLBs, and things like that. 1,781 artillery system, not including multiple rocket launch system, and those we have 391 improved in Ukraine. 277 Russian airplanes also went kamikaze in Ukraine. They ceased to be 270 planes. It's amazing. I remember we were celebrating 100 destroyed Russian airplanes. Nobody could even believe that we will have such numbers, that we will ever see such numbers. But anyways, some of them, as you probably know already, went kamikaze drone, were kamikaze droned on the territory of Russia. Probably like last week, they lost 2 airplanes in a row. It's amazing. My theory was that because they recruited undergraduated cadets from their air schools, that probably can cause some problems. Bernard says, is it just me, or Ukraine going to be a leader in human compost industry? I don't know, but I think that next year we're gonna have some crazy harvest of corn and sunflowers. Okay, so moving on. 260 helicopters were lost, and it's 17 aircraft less than their interceptors and attack airplanes, and probably that IL-76 that was downed over Vasilkiv in the beginning of this invasion. Who knows? But it's so amazing. It's awesome. Also, regarding the news, Iran finally admitted that Iranians were sending drones to Russia, and they admitted that those drones were actually sent, but in some specific small numbers, and it was done prior to the invasion. So they confirmed that, yes, they gave Russia their drones. So they wanted to participate in this investigation because, as you know, the UN sent their investigators to Ukraine to study and investigate those drones. And by the way, the Mohajer 6 drone that was downed over the Black Sea and captured by Ukrainian armed forces almost completely intact. So we studied this drone. Appeared that it contains parts from like China and mostly China, of course, but other countries. Probably it had like not Japanese engine. They use Rotax engines for their drones. Some Japanese parts, Swedish parts, and even Ukrainian parts. So our security service is now investigating how could those Ukrainian parts be delivered to Iran to produce those drones. It's crazy. But Ukrainian washing machines could be level 70, could be, definitely. I wonder what kind of parts they could use from Ukrainian washing machines. Anyways, But it's amazing. They even used Ukrainian parts. I mean, yes, on one hand, they produce like, low cost, deadly flying machines that in some cases can do their job, because more than 60% of drones are being intercepted, sometimes more, but still. On the other hand, if you want to have a strong country, you can build your factories, give people employment, give them salaries, hire some crazy scientists, and make them invent microchips or something like that, and basically you can have your own chain of production. You can have factory where people make those drones. You can have another factory where people make microchips. You can have another factory where people make engines, and you can put those parts together and create like drones and stuff. But like, why? I mean, you can buy stuff from AliExpress like some freaking ISIS and build some flying crap, like I don't know, like some terrorists. Anyways, like probably I'm idealist, I don't know, but I think that this is the way it should be done properly. You have to make your own production. You have to employ people. You have to give them jobs. You have to make your country prosperous, right? But obviously, some people have a different vision. Okay. They stole Swedish speed cams. It's true. It's true. There was something like more than 100 Swedish speed cams stolen. I'm not sure that the one that I saw in my unboxing video on my channel, if that was among those cameras, if there was one of those. I would laugh if it was one of those. Benjamin says Russia and Belarus can make chips, but they're not micro because it takes tools made in Netherlands or so. Actually, yeah, they can make kind of chips, not really microchips, probably like mini chips. Okay. Stomping Tom asks, any comment on China saying to Russia use of nukes would be crossing the red line? Basically, everybody says that using nukes will be crossing of the red line. Speed cameras are infrared. Well, yeah, probably that's the reason. How do I find out if my friend in Kharkov is alive? That's a good question. It depends where your friend lives, where he works. Maybe you have contacts of his friends. Not sure I can help you with this, unfortunately. I'm very sorry. fish and chips. Yeah. Okay, we have another news that in the Kherson region, it was reported that Russian occupiers were stealing engines and property from ships, from yachts that were parked, that were docked in that area. And because of that, they polluted the river with oil, with other parts, which is again very, very typical for orcs. Another rumor is that there are numerous conflicts were reported between Russians and Belarusians, because you know that Belarus accommodates Russian soldiers at this point, probably because they prepare some kind of attack from the territory of Belarus, maybe towards Kiev, maybe towards Rivne, maybe towards some other direction. We keep our eye on it. Yeah, but we have this information that because Russians are big racists, this is a foundation for those conflicts between Russian and Belarusian soldiers. Yeah, so numerous reports were received from top officers, and in those reports, it's said that Russian troops have this. They show this, like, not like prejudice, but so it's kind of, they have this bad attitude towards Belarusian soldiers because Russians believe that they like a chosen race, chosen people. I heard that somewhere, by the way. According to Chief of the Office of International Relations of the European Council, European Parliament, European Council in Warsaw, Piotr Buras, the West doesn't have a clear vision as of today regarding how the how this war is gonna end in a peaceful manner. He said that I don't think that neither Berlin nor Paris nor Washington will push Kiev towards decisions that are not corresponding to interests of Ukraine, to national interests of Ukraine. But still, they don't have clear vision on how to end this war peacefully. Of course, because there's no peaceful solution to this war. There's a terrorist country that wants to kill Ukrainians, and there's Ukrainians who fight to survive. That's all. There is no peaceful solution to this. You have to defeat terrorists, and this is the only solution. And I'm really glad that more and more people start realizing this. So those were most of the news. Again, in Ukraine we have plenty of blackouts, in Kiev as well. Sometimes we don't have electricity for like 12 hours, sometimes more. There is a schedule, but there are unplanned blackouts as well because the grid is overloaded, unfortunately. But we have heating. We have heating in numerous towns and cities in Kiev as well. And that's a positive news. It's like since early 2000s, and you can ask any Ukrainian about this, since early 2000s, we constantly heard this from Russia. Ukraine will freeze. 2000, like I have this list of like screenshots, like titles in Russian newspapers, like 2008, Ukraine will freeze to death. 2010, Ukraine will not survive this winter. They will all die. And it continues every freaking year. Every freaking year they dream about Ukraine freezing. Oh my god, it's so stupid. Yeah, so we have heating, we have enough of gas to provide people with heating in winter. In most cases, we have this centralized heating system in the cities, which means that there's this heating center, this plant, and the hot water basically delivers heat to the houses. This is how it works, but it works differently in private sector, like smaller houses, cottages, country houses, and some apartments, like the one I'm currently stationed at, has autonomous heating, like gas heating or electric heating. In the villages is different. In the villages you usually have like a you call it stove, probably. Okay, let me introduce Ukrainian peach to you guys. You're gonna love it. Okay, let me make this work real quick. Okay, let's have a lesson of Ukrainian culture. So, this stuff that you see, for example, here, traditionally was in every Ukrainian house. And Ukrainian houses looked like this. They were usually white, they were painted like this, they were very, very cute, always. And this is Ukrainian chata. In Ukrainian, it's chata. It's not hut. It's just chata. Basically a house. So in every Ukrainian house, there was this stove, this device called Peach, P-I-C-H. and you could do all kinds of crazy shit with this. You could cook, you could use it to provide heating to your whole chata, to your house. And also there you can see that little pocket on the top of this pitch. You could sleep there because it was freaking hot up there. And you could sleep there, usually older people who could climb up there, they could sleep there. And it was kind of warm in the house because this stuff, it would hold a lot of heat. Yeah, fireplace, yeah. So this is Ukrainska peach, Ukrainian peach, and yeah, people use it to cook stuff, to get warmed, and yeah. So regarding villages, Hungarian homes had this too, said Stray Fox. Yeah, I guess so. Like I think like in different cultures, we all have a different version of this stuff. But regarding villages, in the village, if you have coal, if you have logs, firewood, basically, you can provide heating for yourself. In different villages, there's like gas. So everybody tries to. In Croatian, it's pitch. Yeah. In different villages and different houses, everybody decides for himself, like what kind of device he or she wants to hit the building, the house. Braith Miller says we call masonry stove here. Yeah. Awesome. So you gotta love this. In case you want to visit Kiev, and in case you want to learn something, you gotta go here. This is an open-air museum called Pirohovo. And in Pirohovo, you can see all kinds of crazy shit. So, what makes this museum special? And this is one of my favorite places in Kiev since I was a small kid. So what makes this place special is that they have plenty of houses, like actual houses, from different regions of Ukraine. There are houses from central Ukraine, southern Ukraine, eastern, western Ukraine, from different regions of Ukraine. And there are different houses from different regions, meaning like there are houses where rich family would live. There's a house for poor family and things like that. And you can literally go inside every house and see how they lived. It's amazing. And they have like houses, they have windmills, like actually working windmills. Sometimes you can see like horses there. They have churches, and in Ukraine it was this one is very interesting. So this is there's a church on a background, and you should never ever point your finger at the church. It's a sin. So there's a church. Usually they were made out of wood, and on the foreground you can see those small bee nests, like those houses for bees. So it's amazing. Like in Pyrohova, you can see all kinds of old Ukrainian architecture, like medieval architecture. It's amazing. Um, there are those hatas, Ukrainian houses. Again, they are very very cute. In Ukrainian culture, we always have to have them painted white. It's different in Western Ukraine, but but usually like Central, Eastern Ukraine, Northern Ukraine, you would see those houses painted with like white paint and some patterns to make it even more cute. So you gotta see that. It's absolutely amazing. There's like people. You can ride a horse. Oh, but the coolest thing about Pyrohova is that they have like a real tavern. So you can visit the tavern. You can order some beverage made of honey, like mead. You know what I'm talking about. And get freaking wasted. I was wasted in this tavern so many times when I was a student. So yeah, that's like, if you're in Kiev, you gotta see this one. Looks like Kingdom Come Deliverance game. I agree. I agree because I think this game, the story of this game takes place. Is it in Bohemia? I might be wrong because I didn't play this game, but I saw like gameplay. Rudy says, what did you say those pecker-looking huts was for? So those were houses for bees. It's where you can gather your honey. Do you have traditional houses built in the ground? In Romania, we call them bordei. No, in Ukraine we don't have that culture of building them in the ground. Not that I remember. Nothing. I don't remember nothing like that. But in modern Ukraine, I would definitely build stuff under the ground. Tell us how a tourist can first drink kvass without getting sick. I don't think it makes people sick. It's like, it tastes almost like Coca-Cola. It tastes like beer with Coca-Cola. Actually, kvass is nice. There's different types of kvass, and it's always nice. House for bees, beehive. I knew it was a beehive, but I forgot. I thought it was a different thing. Are some people still using straw roofs in Ukraine? I don't think so. Mostly we use just ordinary roofs. Straw is, you can easily set it on fire. That's why I think it's probably not the best idea to use straw. But I saw some really old houses in Ukrainian villages that still use those, but they're very, very rare. Jake bro. Oh, Jake bro here. Hey buddy. Hey. Very nice to see you, Jake. So as for the power outages, I had to move from Kiev for a while because of that, but nothing will stop me from speaking with you guys. So, and as for McDonald's, actually, remember that video where Bogdan eats a cheeseburger? So it was first cheeseburger for Bogdan in 7 months, and it was the same with me basically, because I wasn't able to visit McDonald's and it was my first cheeseburger. And after that I was I visited McDonald's 2 times more. Yeah. Bavovnyatko likes straw, says Mark Snyder. Yeah, it does. But it has absolutely no problem with setting on fire any other thing, I think. Graham Hedge asks, who is Jake Bro? So Jake Bro is a former US military, and he has a kick-ass channel with constant updates on Ukraine and the situation in general, economic situation. So you gotta subscribe to his channel. That's my advice to you. Rural England has thatched roofs still. I didn't know about it. How's your dog? So dog is okay. He got used to this new place. We have some kind of green zone not far from here, like rivers, swamps, and Fudge absolutely loves this place. Okay, so I think we kind of moved to Q&A section now. Why did I start talking about peach? Yeah, so it was because of this question, heating in the villages. In the villages, there's no problem with heating whatsoever. It only depends on if you have fuel to heat yourself or not. Usually it's firewood, coal, or anything that burns. I heard that there is some other museum like this one in Pyrohiv. In Ukrainian, it's Pyrohiv. It's, let me type it into the chat. Okay, it's in the chat. You can Google it and see for yourself. It's huge. And because there's like different landscape, it makes it possible to literally make, like, for example, if there's a field, this area is perfect for houses that are very typical for example, central or southern Ukraine. If there's like hills, it's awesome to recreate, Western Ukrainian houses and that area. So it has different landscapes, and they have like all kinds of you can see a wooden church typical for central Ukraine, and then you can walk 500 meters, maybe more because it's a big area, and see a Western Ukrainian church. The one in the central Ukraine would probably be Orthodox Church. The Western Church will be Greek Catholic, for example. So yeah, you gotta visit this place. After the war, I'm gonna spend my whole life there because it's so amazing. Oh, and people love to celebrate their weddings there. I've been to one wedding when I was 20 something. My friend had a wedding in this Pyrohiv in this Ukrainian traditional style. It was crazy. He was so drunk. How are you so optimistic and humorous? How do you keep saying I feel nothing but utter hatred? Same here, but also optimism. So there's a good way to avoid being burned out. It's you have to rest sometime, and you have to make yourself like small presents. And the best present I can make myself is something yummy. That's why I make pasta with tomato sauce, for example, because I love it, and it makes me happy. But the main source of my optimism and my biggest motivation is, of course, you guys, because you are the most inspiring thing that I have in my life. Will Ukraine change to celebrate Christmas on 24th, 25th December? Question from Roman. Roman, in Ukraine we celebrate two Christmases. It's on 24th, 25th and on 7th of January. And we are totally okay with that because you have twice more holidays. And in Ukraine we like holidays. Do a cooking vids. Would like to see you make tomato sauce. It's very easy. It's I just go to a supermarket and buy tomato sauce. I tried making a tomato sauce out of tomatoes, but it tastes absolutely the same. I don't know. Probably it's because tomato sauce in Ukraine is so cool. Any more news on them Russians that dug up around the Chernobyl? I talked to Bogdan. Bogdan told me that because he spent 30 more days on this Chernobyl power plant while being in captivity, so he said that he saw 10 Russians that were evacuated from the Red Forest to Belarus, and he said that 3 of them died eventually because of the radiation disease. And those were not the only ones. Question from Ebrim. Are Russian attacks on energy infrastructure likely to solve Ukrainian demographic crisis by encouraging post-war baby boom? I think it's the case totally, and I think in 9 months we will see results of this attack on Ukrainian infrastructure. You will be amazed. I have neighbors here. In my previous place, my neighbors were mostly like babushkas, grandmas. Here it's like different people, and my neighbors, I think from upstairs, they already improve our demographics almost like every day. Yesterday, I literally wanted to upload them in the morning because it was very loud. So like next time I meet those guys, I will shake their hands, and I will say, I like what you're doing is amazing, and the last time was completely, it was outstanding. I'm so happy for you. And yeah, I will be cheering up every time, and especially for the guy, because his lady was, I think she liked it. And then I will hug them and cry. Maybe your neighbors are watching the stream. If you are watching this, you are the best. Believe me. I can compare. What do you think the Ruskis are up to in Kherson? Will there be a trap for the Ukrainian army? I believe so, because again, from their propaganda, they are so desperate about this, and we know that they're building plenty of their defense lines on the left bank. But I think that they gonna have a trap prepared for Ukrainian troops there. They have quite a few battalion tactical groups in the area. They didn't go anywhere. They have plenty of troops there, and it's not like they're evacuating. They evacuated a bunch of civilians. They made this demonstration of evacuating their local authorities. So I would not believe them. I know them too well. Yeah, Jennifer says they are going to blow that dam. Probably, could be. Again, our intelligence claimed that they don't have enough of explosives there. But they can damage it. Again, we don't know. They can use some other measures. Oh, my dad says that I should have told you that the peach, the stove that I showed you, it was like not an ancient but old one. Okay, we used those hundreds years ago. I gotta respond to my dad. Anyways, he's watching. I told the viewers that not all of our houses have those straw roofs. Most of them are built from usual materials. Okay, Ryan in the house. Hey, buddy. Nice to see you here. Okay, we have all the company here. If the dam breaks, doesn't also make it impossible to cool that nuclear power plant. There is such a possibility. On the other hand, there is a possibility that Crimea will lose access to fresh water forever. So it's hard to say. Can they destroy the dam? Of course they can. Uh, did they do some similar crazy shit before? Of course they did. Yes, John says that blowing the dam will stop water to Crimea and flooding Russian positions. That exactly what we can expect. Uh, Snusar Mumrik says, did the Chernobyl TV drama go down well in Ukraine? Yes, it was very nice to see this show, those episodes. It was nice. I liked all the FX and stuff, but because my dad was in Chernobyl himself during those days, he criticized this show a lot. And there's even an article that he wrote for our media criticizing this show, but it's only in Ukrainian. It's the same as with this. Like if you don't know the story and you see a movie about it, usually it looks awesome. Okay, if it's a good movie, if a lot of stars are involved, and but if you know the story, the movie might suck. The same happened with The Gunslinger. My favorite book is The Dark Tower by Stephen King, who, by the way, allegedly arrives to Ukraine soon. And when I saw this movie, I couldn't talk for 3 hours because I had nothing to say. I read all those 7 books, and okay, I don't want to make people upset. Just put a heart in the commentaries if you support me. Are they showing the flow of the river further up to reduce possible force damage if blown? I think I read there are other dams or reservoirs further north. Yeah, that's from Amanda. So I heard that they were trying to remove excess water, which is hard to do because there's like 18 million tons of water in that reservoir. Question from Vinny. How do you calculate Russian infantry losses? So usually it's if we have confirmation from like recorded footage, from surveillance, from drones, from tanks, from snipers, we count those. Then if so I asked guys from the armed forces, like how do they calculate that? And they told me that they calculate everything they can confirm. For example, if they see a BMP that was destroyed, they calculate the number of troops that this BMP can carry, and then they divide it by 2. And when I asked like why, they told me like we have to do that according to laws of statistics and stuff. Something I don't understand. So it's approximate calculations, but again, according to the information that was received from oppositionist Russian media, they allegedly received that information from 2 FSB agents, one active and one retired. Those FSB agents reported around 90,000 men lost, something like that, which actually this number not only includes the number of dead men, but also those that are irreversibly wounded, that cannot participate in combat anymore. Probably those numbers might be accurate, actually. Oh, and my good buddy Ukraine Matters says, yeah, so far it has been quite accurate. I agree on that. But also, you should remember that there are wounded people. In case of Russians, the number of wounded is probably 3-4 times bigger than the number of dead. In Ukrainian army, the number of wounded is usually like 8 times more than the number of dead. Simply because we have better training in terms of, saving lives, combat medicine. Question from Kellen Dunn. How many Ukrainian POWs are in captivity? Again, I talked to Bogdan. Unfortunately, I don't know the precise number, but I talked to Bogdan, and Bogdan told me that Russians were arresting everybody, including civilians. So a lot of their POWs, Ukrainian POWs that are being kept in Russia at this point, a lot of them are civilians. Some dude had like a hunting shotgun. He was arrested. Some dude was wearing, camo pants. He was arrested. Some dude literally looked suspicious. He was arrested. And things like that. So they have plenty of people. Of course, there are soldiers of the armed forces of Ukraine, but there's also plenty of civilians. Many thousands of civilians, including kids, including women, including all of those deported to Russian filtration camps. There's currently something around 70 of those, maybe more. Oh, and there's my good buddy David Paul. And Ukrainians look out for each other. They are team players, unlike orcs. That is true. That is true. What the situation in Pavlivka, if you know? Unfortunately, I don't. I've heard this name in the information field somewhere, like a day ago, but no, I don't have information at this point. Do you know what units are stationed in Kiev at the moment? I kinda do. Does the Foreign Legion have enough personnel, or do they need more people? I'm thinking about coming to help. Question from Von Dellen. You gotta contact Ukrainian embassy in your country and ask. Currently, I know that only the best of the best are being invited. Nadine asks, simple question. How are you, Andrew? I'm fine. I had a dinner. I had yogurt, and Ukrainian yogurts are awesome. You gotta try one. And yeah, it makes me happy. Ukraine has more and better body armor, real ceramic plates. Yeah, we have those. We have those, but like again, if your armor gets damaged, if one of those cells are damaged, you gotta know how to repair it. And yeah, you don't often have such opportunity. I prefer metal plates, even though they're heavy as but I prefer those. Probably it's because I'm old school. Are you worried about U.S. support to Ukraine after our elections? I think that you guys can do everything properly. We trust in you guys. Question from Rob: can you turn on super chat so we can all buy Bogdan lots of steaks? Rob, there is Bogdan's PayPal in the description to this stream, and you can use it if you want to support Bogdan. He will be happy to have a steak, I think. So after his return, we already had like sushi, hamburgers, cheeseburgers, McFlurries, that ice cream in McDonald's. Beer, I don't drink, but he does, and plenty of stuff. And I ate at his hospital because nobody checked. I ate at his hospital. I had lunch, and it was nice. They gave us pasta and like a cutlet, like huge meatball, and it was fantastic. Cher asks, will you and Anna ever have a live stream together? We already did, but we gotta repeat that. Kim Chubb asks, what are your YouTube stats? Countries, ages, gender. So most of my viewers are men between 35 and 55. The most popular countries are the US, the UK, Germany, Australia, Canada. I remember because I saw it. As for the super chats, guys, it's I don't really think I need it because first of all, I'm not asking anybody to support my channel if you don't want it. Again, I'm trying to answer every question, and in case it's impossible, it's literally because I'm doing it alone, and sometimes I miss those questions. That's why, please, guys, tag me in your questions. It's very important. It makes it easier to see them. And also, there's a lot of scammers who invite people to join their Telegram channels, and then they use like my picture, like from the YouTube, and they say that like you won an iPhone, uh, please add me, and stuff like that. Guys, I don't do that. Uh, but I definitely know the next skit that I'm gonna do, because I receive constant emails from different organizations, VPNs, and game developers and stuff like that. Uh, I think before this war is finished, I will not do that. My channel has a bit different purpose, I think. I don't have anything against advertisement, but not in the wartime, you know. How can Russians outside of Russia support Ukraine? Uh, by doing what other people do. Wood blowing dam thin river up north of it so to freeze river for easier access to other side. I don't really think so, because Dnipro is damn big. It's wide. In Kiev, it's 1 kilometer wide. So I don't think it's gonna happen. The prime minister is literally named Shmigel, my precious. It's Shmigal. Uh, doesn't sound funny in Ukrainian. I don't know. How do you report a collaborator to the Ukraine government? So you gotta contact the hotline of the of the security service of Ukraine. We also have this application that lets you report like enemy troops movement or like collaborators. So you gotta check that one out as well. Does no one know who Tolkien is? I think everybody knows who Tolkien is. I Jedi. Adrian says, Доброго вечера, hope you're doing good. How's the situation with electricity? So I moved to another location because the situation with electricity sucks. For civilians and for military who requires electricity. What is something that annoys you about the English language? I don't think anything annoys me about English. It's very easy to learn, and probably that's why it's so popular. Um, Bogdan is the medic, right? No, he wasn't medic. He was a recon guy, badass one. Um, Tolkien. Uh, what do you think about China's war into Russia not to use nukes? So Felicia asks, what do you think about China's warning to Russia not to use nukes? I think that China is fed up with uh, Russia's special operation that lasts for almost a year already. And again, those countries lose profit because of all that crap. The only way, people think that war brings money and stuff. In most cases, it's opposite. In most cases, you're losing everything. You're losing a lot of profit. And the best way for you to receive profit and have good reputation and good image, good relations, is when you're trading instead of fighting. It's obvious. And because China cares more about China than it does, than it cares about Russia. Yeah, of course, they realize that they're losing profits and Russia must stop eventually. Oh my god, I missed a bunch of questions. What would the punishment be for a collaborator? So everything is in our legislation. There are different terms, different amount of years for such people to spend in prison. Shay asks, what does recon means? What does recon mean? It means reconnaissance. It means he was an operator in a reconnaissance group. Any concerns about the Russians using chemical weapons? We had such concerns probably this summer during their operation in area of Rubizhne and Severodonetsk, because we had information that their officers received antidotes, but nothing really happened since then. What is the most funny incident you ever experienced at or near the front line? There were so many of them, actually. Oh my god. So one time, it was near Stanitsa Luhanska, I think. One time we stopped near a grocery store, and because I like, those stupid jokes pretending I'm a foreign mercenary, which is always funny. So I went there with my driver, and I said, powiedz tej pani, że chce kupić te mleko oraz kielbasy, and I, I started speaking Polish, and of course my driver didn't understand anything, but the cashier, there were two women, and they were looking at me, and one says to another one, like, is he from Baltic countries or what? And in the end, I bought everything, and as soon as I went through the door, I saw OSCE mission entering the building, like past me. So it would be funny. Uh, then, then in the Izium, I think that the one that was recently liberated. In the Izium, we went to the store and I was so I had my friend who spoke English, and in the store I told him like, can you please tell this lady that I would like to have that Coca-Cola and siamki, please. And siamki is, like sunflower the seeds. Yeah. Um, so in the end, this woman was running after me with this cheburek. It's too long to explain. Yeah, and it was kind of funny. So yeah, sometimes I like to pretend I'm like a foreign mercenary, but it's not interesting anymore because a lot of people speak different languages now in Ukrainian front lines. You can hear all kinds of languages of the world now. What symbol can people wear or share to support Ukraine? I think anything yellow and blue, in my opinion. Starsky, are you in contact with Alexei Aristovich? No, I'm not. I'm not. But we are acquainted. Juan asks if I know Spanish. Nobody. Unfortunately, I don't. Um, Probably I will learn it when I have more time. Jack Ray asks, what do the people you help think of the support you get from individuals? What do the people you help think of the support you get from individuals? They are grateful. They are. Are the newly mobilized Russians dying in large numbers due to lack of training? Yes, they receive some kind of training, but it's not enough. For example, in order to become professional infantryman, we had to train 4 months straight, and even during this period of training, we realized it was not enough. There was so much more to learn. So they only have some of them don't even have like a week of training. They are being sent directly to the front lines and they die. Looking for a good course for learning Ukrainian. Cyrillic is surprisingly easy to learn, the words and grammar, though. Yeah, I agree on that. It's not too hard to learn Cyrillics. It's harder to learn how to. We have 7 cases in Ukrainian language, which is kind of crazy. Judy asks, the Canadian who is Ukrainian said there has been 100,000 civilians in Ukraine killed. He has a channel on Ukraine war. Do you think that this is correct? It could, actually, it could be true. So, because there's a lot of civilians in such cities that, like Mariupol, for example, it's not a big city, but it's big enough. And we know that a lot of civilians died there, and we cannot count those casualties. So in cities like Mariupol, in cities like Donetsk, Luhansk, by the way, we cannot count those casualties. In Kherson, there's plenty of them. And unfortunately, judging from the satellite images that we receive with those massive graves, I believe that this number could be close to the truth, I think. What is the name of your metal band? It's Operator Starsky. You can Google Operator Starsky music on YouTube. What do you think about Trump? I don't think about Trump, honestly. Do you have artillery superiority yet? So it's in quality, not in quantity. Preferably, if we had both, it would be great. Both quantity and quality. But it's like the coolest thing about the modern artillery that we have, like HIMARS, of course, it's like precision, like HIMARS, M777s. Of course, it's precision, but it's also the range, because it makes Russian counter battery measures pretty much useless. And they cannot counter our artillery efficiently. But on the other hand, we need quantity as well. We cannot just, like, yes, it's great that we have a very precisely hitting, right, and long range artillery. Yeah, it's great. We need quantity as well to be able to use them in different locations of the front lines. Otherwise, we have to have at least equal number. Then we will win, definitely. What is happening to the people being evacuated from Kherson by the Russians? So they are taken to different places. We know that kids were taken to some children camps in Russia. Some of them are taken to the occupied territory of Donbass. The Ukraine soldiers with short training in Europe are doing good. Yes, they do, because prior to this training in Europe, most of those guys had 8 years of training in Ukraine. So I think everything will be fine. So those guys training in Europe, mostly those are operators of some specific like artillery systems or other devices. How do we get the kids back that have been abducted? How can we help? We have to finish this war. We have to uh, win over our enemy. That's the only way to save them, I think. Did you watch Jake Brol's interview with retired General Ben Hodges? Yes, I did, and I think General Hodges does a great job. I like watching General Hodges because he can analyze things from his perspective, from his level. You know, I can analyze this war from the level of press officer, from first lieutenant, and he's a general. He has much bigger experience and knowledge than me. That's why I find his videos very, very interesting. Does Ukraine now have enough armed troops to beat Russia? I think it does, unless Russia or organizes another mobilization and mobilizes like 5 million people. Then we will have to find a place where to bury all of them. I don't know. It's kind of hard. What would be the best, fastest way to end the war? More support or NATO troops? Question from Chris. And the answer is very, very simple. The answer is, as soon as there are NATO troops in Ukrainian cities, those cities will instantly stop being bombed. I believe so. You can call me a fool, but that's what I think. So as soon as there are NATO troops, as soon as there are NATO airplanes in Ukrainian airfields, as soon as there are NATO soldiers in Ukrainian cities, even not participating in combat, but just present there, those cities, those objects will stop being bombed and hit by Russian missiles and stuff. I believe so. Because you see, Russia cannot win over Ukraine, over a comparably small country, right? Winning over NATO, that was specifically created to counter Russia, it sounds kind of silly. They can't. They just can't. They can eat smaller countries, like country after country. Like they can invade Baltic countries, for example, and eat them separately, or at least try. But now they're all NATO members, so it's kind of difficult for them. How's Pasha doing? So Pasha is doing all right, and we talked yesterday. He was blocked on YouTube all of a sudden. Why is Bakhmut called Artyomovsk on some maps? So Artyomovsk is old communistic name for Bakhmut, And in Soviet times, it was called Artyomovsk because they liked to call cities after different communists and stuff like that. When is your next show with Anna from Ukraine? I'm trying to get Anna to the Shields every Friday, every Saturday. Yeah, but she is busy because she has private life, unlike me. Um, yeah, Nine Cats says that the U.S. So the U.S. Analyzed that they can push Russia out of all the territories during 96 hours, and I think they could probably do that if they had enough artillery, which I think they do. Are there any Europeans fighting for Russia? Question from Hendrik. And yes, there are. There are um, Serbian mercenaries that participated in this war since early years, since probably 2014, maybe 2015. How can Russian forces surrender without dying? So basically, they need to raise their hands like high and shout "Сдаем Su" and wave some white stuff. They're usually given this white, this white stuff. It's not that difficult actually. It's very very easy. Um, Is Makarov a good pistol to buy for self-defense, or should I stick with the Glock? Jay, please don't buy Makarov. If you can buy Glock, buy Glock. There's nothing better than Glock, and there's nothing worse than Makarov, believe me. Um, has your friend gained back any kilograms? I don't think so. Sometimes should pass. Um, yeah, and he cannot just eat everything, even despite the fact that he does. But he has to control everything he eats. He has to have some proper amounts. Um, Fuch is sleeping, and I'm not letting him sleep. Nikolai Korobeinik says Makarov is not that bad. It is. It really is. I had 3 different Makarovs during my service. Okay, I had one very old. It was so old, so the rifling inside of the barrel has gone completely. Then I had one very, very new. It was made in 1990. Then the one that I have now is produced in 60s. They all sucked. If you can compare them to any other gun, you gotta use another gun. Anything from the mechanism for extracting the magazine, it sucks. You cannot do it with one hand. Like you can, but it's like it's kind of difficult. So it's like extraction mechanism, precision, which is absent. There's no precision. You can throw it more precisely than you can shoot it, and basically yeah. So it's like if you can buy Glock, just don't think about anything else. Buy Glock. I had opportunity to shoot Glocks, and they are amazing. They're the best thing that people invented in this life. I would go with AK. Do you like Polish pierogi? I freaking love them. They are so amazing. Okay, guys, it's Chizat 9mm are a good pistol. Yes, they are. I agree. Czech handguns are awesome. Guys, I'm gonna finish this stream, and I see a lot of people ask me about Grandpa Savkovich. Yes, I'm gonna see him probably next week. Everything changes a lot, that's why I cannot plan anything much, but I will try. And thank you so much for staying with me tonight. It was awesome. I miss you guys all the time, and we'll see you in the next one. Don't forget about Bogdan. If you want to support my buddy, then his PayPal is in the description. And also big kudos to everybody who supports my channel, because guys, you are amazing. Due to you, I'm able to buy all kinds of needed equipment for this channel. So thank you once again. Big thanks to all of my buddies, everybody who was present with us in the chat. Big thanks to Janine. Big thanks to Samantha Williams, who sent those drawings to Bogdan. He was happy. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.